Hello. What you've just seen is this, and this is my home filming setup. What I tried to do in this was replicate the setup I had at work, but with a couple of additions. The couple of extra additions are I've got a couple of little lights that you can just see here, and I've got my camera on a dolly. So now I've got a little bit of movement across my build area if I've got a slightly wider project. What I just want to show in this video is how I made this, what I've done with it, and how we got to where we are now. One of the features that I wanted when setting up this space was that ability to pan. Particularly because one of my passions is building guitars, I wanted to be able to show you the full width of one. It's something that I didn't have in my current setup. So in order to do this, I had a couple of these aluminium extrusions, and what I wanted to do was suspend them from the frame. This is one of the projects where having a 3D printer comes in really handy. So what I managed to do was measure up this cross-sectional end, and I tried to model it. Now my first model was nearly there but wasn't quite right. So what I had to do was expand it slightly, and I got this. And what this allows me to do is hang the end of the rail off it. With that new geometry, what I did was I added a couple of hooked legs to fit over the inch box section that this frame's made of, and actually made a bracket to hang it. I could have stopped there at this stage, but one of the things I did to make it a bit more robust, make it a bit nicer, was to get these parts SLS printed in nylon. The reason for this is SLS printing gives me monodensity, about 99.9% density, and what I don't have is these printing layers. And these printing layers are layers of strength, basically. So if I go against the grain, these prints are incredibly strong, but if I go with the grain with a force, they're incredibly easy to break. And what I didn't want to do was set up a filming rig that could snap part way through. The next stage of this project was to develop a caster that would roll along. This was my first attempt, and unfortunately I used support material, and hopefully, as you can see in this section here, the support material actually left marks which stopped it from wheeling. So what I did was I trialled that again without support material and got a far nicer wheel, far more stable wheel. The wheel actually has a bit of chatter and rock in it. Because of that chatter in the wheel, one of the things I tried was reducing the internal radius of the wheel from about 5mm to about 3mm. The tighter wheel also had chatter and didn't quite get the surface contact that I wanted. So with the benefit of hindsight, went back to the slightly wider wheel, hoping that between two of them they would square up. This then led to this trolley. Now the trolley is just a U-shaped bent piece of metal. I have 4 casters on it. Unfortunately the casters aren't quite as long as the bezel, so it sits on the bezel or on the wing nuts this way around, so I can't show you, but the casters are on, they spin. They are the prototype, which is based off the wider design. And what I did was I mimicked the camera mount that I have at university. The reason being is I could use this same mount again, meaning that the camera's interchangeable. The mount just simply attaches on like this. The only modification I've made since then is I bored out this hole and I've added a light on. The reason being, I've got quite a nice ring light now behind where my camera is, allowing me to downlight some of my projects, perhaps make some of my sketching a bit clearer. And that really was it. The rig's high enough up that I can use tools like a drill or a driver. I've got enough depth to get into it, and actually I've got enough depth that I can work over the top of a piece. So hopefully you'll be able to see a few more tutorials come out of this rig now it's all set. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing to see some of the projects that I do on this rig.